Alright everybody, it's the Arty 84 Show Live here. It's episode 37. We're starting a little early today since,
We are. We're going at it hard. Why?
yeah,
What's up?
got jury duty tomorrow. Early night. Gotta
Early night.
I gotta be up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
How is that different from any other day? Do you really being like intuitive?
I'm usually very, well no, but I don't leave the house till like almost 8 o'clock.
Sure, but you're going to sleep when you get there, but wait for you to get called. You might not get called.
I probably will get called. It's Boston.
That's right, yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to stream this to the Apple TV, and while doing so, I actually picked up someone else's Apple TV in this apartment. And I was going to actually try to send it to their Apple TV. That'd be pretty fun. Imagine if you're sitting there, and all of a sudden, someone plays something to your TV.
Isn't that usually password protected?
No, it just if they have an open network.
That's hilarious.
I could just Airstream anything I want, so I'm testing this out, but apparently I don't think it's working. I thought maybe I could Airstream it to the TV, but perhaps not today. Not today, young lady.
That's weird, because I can usually hijack. I don't understand why with Android, but still, I can usually hijack people's TVs pretty easily, but yours I cannot.
Yeah, my TV is, well, I have cold on it. I make it so it's hard to hijack. I don't want people putting inappropriate material up on my TV when I'm, not around.
That's what I do.
What, inappropriate stuff?
Yeah.
On TV for, like, the neighbors to see?
Yeah.
Just Airstream that shit?
I've actually tried to do that. But
yeah?
Usually when I go to YouTube, if I'm on someone's Wi-Fi, there's an icon in the top right, and I just push the button and it goes right to the television. And,
there you go.
Yours I cannot.
Well, hey, listen. You're only American once. Speaking of America, would you want to talk about what you had your gripe with about the United States of America?
You really want to get me going on
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the first time I'm ever hearing about it.
That's scary.
And I think you wasted all your passion for the pregame. But I'd really like to hear about
no, it's fucked up.
what the cable companies will be doing to us.
And people are talking about it, but at the same time, I don't think people are voicing enough about it. But there isn't much that can be done because it's expected to pass on December 14th. Goodbye, net neutrality. Neutrality?
And
neutrality.
what does that mean? What is net neutrality?
Basically, it's everybody's on the same playing field. Like,
okay.
Your websites, no one's really charged for anything. They just exist on the internet.
Well, that's not true, though. I pay $100 a year for a server for my website,
yeah,
plus my domain.
You're not paying the provider. You're not paying Verizon. You're not paying Comcast.
Oh, what's the $100 a month that's going to them?
You're paying that company, whatever it is, WordPress or whatever. You're paying that.
Yeah, but what's the $100, $150 a month I pay for cable?
But that has nothing to do with the internet connection. We're talking about the cable provider itself. That is, yes. But
yeah.
Yes, you're right. But it's going to get worse because on December 14th. It is going to get voted out that now you will have, if you want to go to Facebook or you want to go to YouTube, fuck you. You got to pay your cable provider. It's not imminent that it's going to happen right then and there.
How's that going to work? How do you have to pay your cable provider?
Because then the FCC now will be able to restrict websites if they want to, depending on your plan, and grant faster speeds to other people who might be paying more money.
So
look it up. Seriously, it is crazy.
But then how does that work, though? So how do they know?
Well, okay, you're Comcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And since you are going through them, they know what IPs. They know what IPs you're looking at because you're part of them. They know you can have your own web. They can easily restrict that.
Okay.
Right. So they can put blocks on, and they're saying this isn't going to happen. But we all know they're greedy motherfuckers.
So you're gonna say it's gonna cost me more money to go to, like, say, Facebook for some reason?
It's going to have to be part of a plan. Not yet. Not eminently.
So
not
am I going to
soon.
have to cherry pick every website I want to go to?
But in the future, yes. In the future, you will have to. I'm sure.
So what good's that? How's that even gonna?
Well, the FCC is claiming that it helps in terms of we can filter out illegal content and we can people like other websites that aren't as popular as other ones. We can have their traffic. We could slow.
But no one
down.
owns the internet. No one owns the internet.
Well, that's going to change.
So what prevents a company, whether it's server in the United States that perhaps has illegal activity on it, just to move their server to the Bahamas?
There is some fine tape here, but
and then we become North Korea, where we can't access other websites, just like North Korea can't access United States websites.
But the bottom line is you want to give the FCC an independent government agency.
Well, that's fine. And the FCC...
No, it's not fine.
No, but in sense of the internet, it won't die, but it'll just die in this country. Because if you say the FCC is restricting, that's basically like North Korea has an FCC, and they restrict, and China does too. what you can see on the web. The United States doesn't restrict that, but if the United States decides to restrict that, these service companies, all these internet, Facebook and stuff, you'll see them move overseas.
But the point is, that's not the point, though. The point is, okay, we can find a way around it. Regardless, it's showing where this country is going.
Well, it's going to kill the country because if Facebook was $1 billion company moves to, say, Germany.
Yeah, and companies like Google, Facebook are for net neutrality. They don't want this.
No, so they're going to go. They're going to go to other countries. I'm sure. I mean, there's
But the FCC will be able to find a way to, I'm sure, would block that from us speaking it.
It'll block us from North America, absolutely. But I can't see that lasting very long.
Well, you should read into it more because I think it's a huge deal, and people are taught, but nobody notices and nobody cares.
I mean, I don't want them to block anything, but at the same time, is that all these big companies are smart enough to know that if they're going to get blocked, they're just going to leave the country, and there's nothing that this country can do about it. There's no reason why Facebook can't go to Germany or can't go to Japan and be like, hey, listen, and I'm just going to set my company here for the rest of the world to use. Except for North America, except for United States and North Korea.
Yes, these companies, it doesn't matter. These companies could find a way around it, whatever, but at the same time, like I'm saying...
It won't last, though. That's the problem.
...of the end. Like, you're telling me the fucking government will control what I see on the internet?
No, they won't, because...
It's scary.
I'm telling you, they won't, because when...
But they're trying to.
They're trying to, but when these companies move that make billions of dollars a year...
No, it doesn't
that pay tons of tax money, that pretty much... People won't do it.
But you just won't be able to see it then, and no one's going to see it.
There'll be ways to see it. There's always a way.
Yeah, but at the same time...
I stream NFL games illegally on my...
Read into it, man, before read into it.
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, if you're saying something's going to happen, there's going to be a way around it. It's called the dark web.
No, but the dark web is in the dark.
These internet... So here's the thing. These internet companies, the government can do whatever they want, but there's always ways around it. The government shut down Napster. There was LimeWire.
That's not the point. The point is our government is doing...
Yeah, but the point is it's not going to happen. It's not going to last. There'll still be ways around it.
That doesn't matter if there's ways around it. You're missing the point of what they're trying to do to us.
I'm not missing the point.
They're taking away our freedom slowly by slowly. It's like, yes, there will be ways around it. But it's who cares?
We have no freedom anyways in this country.
Who cares? This is all about these assholes.
We have an Alexa in our kitchen right now who listens to every conversation and records it.
I know, it's fucked. There are these assholes. They don't care about you and me. They just want to make more and more money.
No one does.
And they're going to put more shit on this.
You're just learning this now?
No, I'm not learning it now, but it's getting worse.
Like, are you just waking up 35 years later saying, hey, listen, the government doesn't care about me?
No, I am saying that it's just getting more, it's getting
worse. Of course
worse.
The government doesn't care about us.
Of course they don't care.
The government only cares about the top 1%.
But the point is nobody cares, and that's a problem. People laugh, and they're like, oh, we'll find ways
because people are exhausted.
Right, no, but they shouldn't be, because what's the future of this country? What are we going to be in 30
Because
years?
you can't go out there and fight this issue, because if you do, you look like a lunatic.
No, but people should. No, I don't think that's true. I think if you go about it a certain way and go threatening to murder people...
Look at that friend on Twitter who tweets about angry stuff all the time. She looks like a lunatic.
Yeah, but that's because she has no basis of reality. This is a complete reality thing that's going to happen in this country.
Well, then one day we're gonna have no internet.
No, look at my Twitter. Look at my Twitter feed.
It's fine. One day we'll have no internet. And then what's gonna happen?
No, that would be great because we spent too much time buried in our Instagram accounts, our Twitter feeds, our Facebooks, and while all this time our freedoms are being taken away from slowly, but nobody notices. Nobody cares because we're all buried in this shit. Oh, Susie and Jake got engaged. Oh, look at the baby.
Good for them.
And that's what they want. They don't want independent people thinking for themselves.
But the problem is that no one's going to know that Susie and Jake got engaged because we're not going to be able to see it.
Well, but it doesn't matter. The point is it's getting to that point.
And then the government's going to take over the mail. They already took over mail. So how are we going to send out invitations?
Dude, I understand you're making a joke about it right now, but it's not funny.
But there's nothing we can do about it.
But
you're getting all angry about something that's, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Because I'm angry because of what it's come to.
And how are you going to stop it? What's your game plan?
I'm not going to stop, but I think there's only so much. There's only so much that people can take.
And I see it a different way.
Whether the people will deal with this, maybe, but then something's going to lead to something else, and eventually, this is how societies topple. Because eventually, they won't take it anymore, and they're going to realize, oh shit, and then that's when societies go bonkers, and you have like groups popping up, militias, and that's when violence starts to happen.
I like a good militia group.
It hasn't happened yet here, but we're on a slope to it, and this is just another step.
Well, it's already going to happen because the president is allowing churches to take political sides now, getting rid of an amendment that was put in by Vice President Johnson at the time in the 50s. So now that churches can actually say, I support a Democratic Party or a Republican Party, which is something they couldn't say before because it was against a tax exemption, and now they can. So now the separation of church and state is completely gone.
Great.
So that's already gone, and that's actually
awesome.
that is buried in the new tax bill, which is actually going to make middle class people have to pay double the amount of money 10 years from now, and get rid of all our write-offs like student loan interest and whatnot. So, I mean, at this point, it's a lost cause. I mean, the only thing you really could do now is either suck it up and deal with it, or go to like I don't know, Canada
I
or.
would defect. If I had the money, I would defect to Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I'd be out.
what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
It's nothing you could do. It's the government. I mean, you could run across the border like that poor guy in South Korea.
But there's nowhere to go. And democracy, that guy's got balls, though. Good for him. But, like, I mean, democracy is the illusion of control. Other countries aren't obvious about it. Are more, like, obvious that you don't have control. Obviously, like North Korea, like, you're going to get shot if you oppose the government. Here, it's like, you can oppose the government. You have freedom of choice. Yeah, you got, like, 3 fucking companies that pretty much rule everything. You have no choice.
Well, that's it. There's really nothing you can do. You know, it's like... Yeah, exactly. 3 companies run everything.
But everybody's blind. Nobody. It got this way because everybody's just occupied by looking at other things. Everyone's delusional. Everyone's fed the bullshit that they see in the media. Everyone is just buried in their media feeds and their social media, and nobody's done anything about it. And that's how it got this way.
It's podcasts. If you listen to them right now, podcasts, as you know, will be obsolete. No one will be able to listen to them.
It'll be slower to get to us because other companies will pay more for high bandwidth. Yeah.
And then also TV shows that you like, Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, you want Netflix? Fuck you. You have to pay for your subscription and probably part of a plan.
And Netflix will probably go out of business. Hulu will probably go out of business.
I don't know. Maybe
National networks like NBC and CBS will probably go out of business.
Just gonna sit back and drink and watch Rome burn. You know, play the fiddle.
So it doesn't matter. Everything's going to come to an end in 50, 60 years anyway. So
yeah, no, that's actually I predicted a decade of 2050. It's all coming to an end.
What are you going to do? Sit there and cry about it?
No,
soon.
I'm hoping that enough people get together and actually do something about it. That'd be great.
I'm surprised this country's still one country. It hasn't broken apart yet. It's only a matter of time until this country separates like the USSR. It really is. New England's going to branch off. Florida's going to branch off. California's going to branch off.
It's sad.
You're going to have independent countries within this country.
I can't even joke about it.
It's true, it's going to happen.
Nobody cares. Nobody knows.
Other countries will join other parts of other different countries. Like Texas may go join, say, Mexico. Minnesota, North Dakota may go join Canada. There'll be a rewriting of borders. As we know it as the 50 states, if you haven't seen them all, you probably should sue them because they're going to cease to exist in a few years.
Yeah. No, but seriously,
It's only a matter of time.
Who might be listening? Seriously, read about web neutrality. Neutrality. Right now, and look at the smug motherfucker who is basically behind this whole thing.
The whole idea of the country still staying in a hole and not doing all this is basically the fact that once the Second Amendment is gone and they take away our rights to carry guns, it's pretty much over.
And they're sneaky about it.
Because the only reason
sneaky, they slowly take little things away at first.
Well,
they're good at that. They don't. It's not for one big thing because they know the people can't stand for that. They'll go bonkers. But if you slowly pick away things.
Well, once you take away the guns, it's over. Because at this point, I mean, essentially, it's that's what broke us away from the English back in the Revolutionary times. And that was one of the main things put in the Constitution was so we could have the right to bear arms, so we could allow us as citizens to not be overwhelmed by the government. And once the government overwhelms us and takes away our guns, they can pretty much do whatever they want. And there's nothing we can do about it.
No one needs to own an AK-47.
I think you should be able to have an AK-47 if you want.
I think it's pointless.
Why?
I don't. I mean, I think everybody has the right to own a firearm, but at the same time,
you should be able to have the same amount of military equipment than the military has. That's what the Second Amendment has.
Unfortunately,
the British had muskets.
And trained.
The Revolutionary guys had muskets.
Yeah.
They had cannons. Revolutionary guys had cannons.
So you're going to let some person who's practically might be mentally unstable.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's sets of guidelines that have to be proper. Most gun owners who legally go through the process legally own the gun and legally can use it. There is a small percentage of people who are legal gun owners who basically go rogue. But that could be of anyone. I could drive my car into a crowd of people. I'm a legal register of a car.
Okay, then standards.
So you're going to start making people not be able to drive cars?
No, but that's true. But standards then definitely to be trained. I change.
That's fine. I mean, have any kind of restrictions you want, but if I want to go and buy automatic, assault rifle for whatever reason, because I live in a farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I'm afraid that the government's going to take us over someday, then I should be able to protect myself from my own government. That's exactly why the Second Amendment. No, but that's why the Second Amendment's there. Second Amendment's there so you can protect yourself from the government from taking over.
And yeah,
so if the government does decide they want to take over, you're not going to have a gun.
Well,
you're going to have a handgun or one round of bullets in there. What's that going to do to a tank?
Everybody does own a gun, and it's not even an AI.
Trust me, more people own guns than you know.
No, that's cool.
More people are carrying guns.
I'm shooting constantly, but I don't think that.
More people are carrying guns walking down the street than you know.
Oh yeah, look how it's going so far. Look at how many mass murders there have been with like assault rifles since 2000. It's going up quite a bit.
Under
people are irresponsible.
under 0.25% of registered gun owners. Under 0.00.
Exactly, but they're out there.
Well, there's everyone. I could drive my car into a crowd of people. I could walk into the mall with a butcher knife. We're going to stop banning knives? We're going to stop banning cars?
No, but if I kill somebody, I'm going to do it anyway.
I could go up to New Hampshire and buy fireworks. We're going to stop banning fireworks?
Well, why would you need that? Why do you need a fucking AK-47?
Because you shouldn't be restricted. Government shouldn't. You're going against what you just said.
No,
the government's restricting the internet, but you're saying the government should restrict guns.
No, I think there should be.
It should be one way or another.
I'm also owning a firearm.
The government should either
all the time.
No, it should be black and white. The government should either restrict stuff or they don't restrict stuff.
No, I just
you can't say they can't restrict the internet, but
I
they
think
can
it should be
guns.
harder to get certain guns.
It is very hard to get certain guns. The people who obtain those guns, who'd use them for bad things, usually do it illegally.
But the problem is it varies state to state. It shouldn't vary
Trust me,
state to state.
the city of Chicago, it's illegal to have a handgun, right? They have more gun crime than the world. And anywhere in the world, by per capita per city, the city of Chicago. And it's illegal to have a legal gun. I can't legally own a gun in the city of Chicago.
That's stupid.
But they have the most gun violence on the road. So that doesn't make any sense. So a city that you're saying no one can have a gun in, there's more gun violence?
No, but it shouldn't vary.
It doesn't matter. You can put any rule, any law you want. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Bad people are going to get guns. Bad people are going to get weapons. Bad people are going to do bad things.
No, they're going to do it. But you're right.
But we're not going to cater to that less than 1% of the population of bad people. I don't believe in that. There's going to be bad people, and that's a fact of life. You're going to have to live through life dealing with some bad people out there. There are bullies in school. There are bad people who are going to kill people. There are people who aren't going to go. If that was the case, everyone would do.
Remember when we were kids, if there was a school shooting, it was like, oh my god. And they would put it on the freaking television in school. Nowadays, it's a shooting, people are like, nobody cares anymore. It's
the same thing goes when you see a girl getting fucked by a horse.
What?
You're not going, ooh, wow. 10 years ago, you'd be like, oh my god, it's amazing. Everyone's so desensitized because of the internet and the web that things like that don't affect us anymore. After you just live through 9/11 and see an airplane that you fly on regularly 3 or 4 times a year fly into a building, you get very desensitized very quickly, especially when you see a businessman who went to work that day and thought he was going to come home for his daughter's second birthday, and he's hanging outside of a building so he doesn't get smoke inhalation, and then falls to his death 78 stories live on TV. That will desensitize you very much. America's desensitized. And it's not any fault to our own, but the fact that everything is well-wide. Back in the day, if 9/11 happened, people who lived in California wouldn't have found out until 2 days later. People, when Pearl Harbor happened, no one found out about Pearl Harbor until days later, right?
Yeah.
And then when we got Osama bin Laden, we had live stream.
The president and his people.
The president could see it at real time. So the matter of that, it's a desensitization of stuff. So people want to say restrict guns, do whatever they want. That's an argument no one's going to win. It's like politics and religion. You can say one thing or another.
I believe that. Fine, but it shouldn't vary state to state. Can we agree on that?
I agree. I think there should be a universal.
Because it's annoying. That's okay. Mistake. What's the point? There should be one universal.
Well, that's just because that's liberal and it's liberal and Republicans right there. They can't agree on anything.
That's stupid.
And having a two-party system is the stupidest thing in the planet, to be quite honest with you, because basically what you're doing is you're saying that person A believes in one thing, person B believes in one thing, but there's no middle ground. There should be no two parties. When you have an election, it should be like a municipal election where it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. It goes by basically one person believes in one thing, another person believes in another thing. It shouldn't go by party lines. Party lines are the stupidest thing ever. It makes no sense. You're literally, when you have two parties going against each other in an election, you are literally saying this country is split and there should be a civil war and there should be two separate countries. That's basically what you're saying. It's black and white because the far lefts and the far rights will never agree anytime. It should be everything should be just even ground. You can have one belief, but you should be able to take it from them. But these people don't understand that. They figure that they have to go with one party or another. It doesn't make any sense.
You just said we've become desensitized because of social media and everything. So in a way, though, because we're desensitized, shouldn't that change our gun laws in a way? Because we're desensitized, I don't value your life as much anymore because I'm so desensitized, and I'm more likely to just pop you.
Listen, I fired machine guns. I've known people who've owned machine guns, who are regular citizens, bankers, construction workers, bartenders that own automatic weaponry in other states than Massachusetts. And they are the most sane. They have families, they have kids, they're well respected and well educated individuals. And they know how to use their weapon, and they know what it's for. But, hey, listen, if I live in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire on the Canadian border, and all hell breaks loose, I can tell you one thing. I'm taking my wife and kids. I'm going into my shelter. I'm taking my machine gun.
That's not going to happen. Our government doesn't do it that way. They take control from us slowly. They pick at us. They're not going to roll
never
down
say
the street
never.
in tanks. They're not going to do it.
Well, that's what they did in England for all those years.
Yeah,
all these
you're
colonies.
referring back, like you're.
Right, it's the same thing.
Theodore Roosevelt. Like, no, it's not like that anymore.
How is it not the same thing anymore?
They're smart enough to know now that they can't do that because that's what will happen. So they slowly nitpick away at our rights, and they slowly do it without people even realizing it, and they won't because they're too busy in our Instagram.
That's what they did in the 1700s. They slowly...
They didn't have Instagram and Facebook.
No, but they taxed you a little bit on this, then they taxed you a little bit on that, then they took your right for that. Yeah. And for over the course of 300 years of colonizing for the country of England, they pretty much little by little took away people's rights until there was no rights left. That's exactly what the government does now. But there's no change. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Roman Empire used to do this for thousands of years. They used to break into a community, a civilization, take it over, and then employ the people that they took over. And they think their life was better now because they had employment.
They're going to do it with the guns or not.
Well, it's going to deal with anything. But as my Second Amendment right, if the country's going to start taking away rights and pretty much taking away my freedom, then I'm going to sit there in a bunker with a machine gun, and I'm going to sit there, and then they're not going to take my property.
Oh, they will.
I mean, well, they're not going to take it without a fight.
You're going to take a few of them with you. But
they're not taking it without a fight, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I have no problem with... I have no problem when you said there should be a universal gun rule. I think that every state should be on the same page. I should be able to carry my handgun from Maine to Hawaii on an airplane without any issues.
I agree.
Because there's no difference in carrying your gun on an airplane than there is carrying it in a mall. Okay? A bad person could steal it from you in a mall.
Sure.
Bad person can steal it from you in an airplane. There's always going to be bad people, and there's nothing we can do about that.
I agree.
And the only way you can get rid of bad people is you brainwash everyone at birth and prevent them from being bad. But at the end of the day, there's going to be bad people. It's just the way it is. And the government, anyone listens to the government, the presidents, and the senators and stuff like this. And at the end of the day, it's all
you need
smoke and mirrors.
Disciplinary, like police officers. You need police officers because there are bad people out there, right? So if then I'm fine with that. If the police are also armed with the same things,
well, because
that's part of the problem too. The police aren't. So they got pistols, unless you got a SWAT team. That's different.
Well, municipal sports and stuff.
But it's also not fair to the police. If they're walking around with a pistol, yet there's some guy with an AK-47 walking around.
But as much as I believe that if you're a cop or an army, if you're a military person...
The military is different than the police.
No, but if you're any of those natures, and the government decides they're going to take away freedoms of America, and you're an army person, you don't disagree with them. I mean, you disagree with them. You should be able to turn against your own army. Yeah. Just like the guy did in North Korea. He was stuck doing that.
Oh, that guy balls.
But he didn't believe in what they believed in. He wanted to be free. And guess what? He did. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was ever a war, if there's ever something in this country. I would say 75% of the military would go along with what what everything's going to be. But there's going to be a 25% rebels that get away. And guess what happened with those 25% rebels? We'll go 300 years into the past. The 25% of the rebels were the patriots that pretty much got the freedom for the revolution. So it doesn't matter. It's all in perspective. They had muskets. We have machine guns. In the future, we may not have weapons. Everything might be done cyberly. You might be able to get on a device and be able to paralyze someone without even using, just using airwaves or whatever like that. So it doesn't matter. Society does not change. Society will always be the same. Technology changes.
Yes, technology changes.
People don't. And I don't care.
Learn from history.
No one learns from history because history repeats itself. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
And
society's toppled.
And the difference between now and 300 years ago was there was territory that was not conquered quite yet, that people did not get a chance. There was undeveloped land, and in the world today, there was probably 10% unconquered or unclaimed land.
Oh, more than that. If you some of these countries.
Well, but it's claimed. I mean, Canada owns everything to the North Pole, right?
It's claimed, but nobody might be on it.
No one might be on it, but it's claimed at some point or another. 300 years ago, there was stuff. I mean, people, I guess, did claim it. Indians, tribals, they did claim it, I guess you could say technically, but there was no over-governing power that said this was my land, this was a boundary I'm putting here. But what's next? Outer space. No one owns Mars. No one owns the moon.
I agree.
Huh?
I do.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, no?
You're definitely space cadet.
Yeah. Well, no, but that's the thing. People are going to start. There'll be Russia's going to go up. Say. Let's fast forward 20 years from now. Russia goes into the moon and says, you know what? I claim the moon, and there's nothing they can do. And what they do, they send a military base up there. They have missiles on the moon, protecting the moon from other people to go to.
No, that's going to be a huge problem. That I know it's going to be.
So,
space weapons are going to be huge. Although there is a treaty that was signed about. Here's the thing: the U.S. government found red tape around this because they know that a treaty was signed about having nuclear weapons in space. That's banned, but conventional weapons is a different story. So they can laser things. They can have conventional bombs. They can do whatever they want.
A gun won't fire in space, but
they can find ways.
There's ways to do it.
There's ways to find missiles. Yes, there are.
But in a sense, I mean, imagine a bullet shooting in space would just go forever.
Yeah, it would stop.
It just wouldn't stop. There was nothing, no friction.
Although I guarantee you, if there is anything out there that's visiting us from other once they see space-based weapons, we're done.
Star Wars
they're not going to let that happen.
I don't get what people say. Star Wars is not out of the realm of possibilities of reality because Star Wars, although seems very old school with their technologies, like in the earlier episodes, but it was weird because you were like in the desert and you were like wearing like really prehistoric type clothing, but they had lasers, right? So, and they could travel from other planets to other planets. The fact of the matter is, we're behind. We are going to be. We may think we're the most superior people.
No, we're not at all.
But we are far from it. There is another superior life form out there.
Technology's been held back. We're not as advanced as we should be.
No, there's planetary life out there looking at us.
Like, look at these assholes.
But they look at us like we're a bunch of dumbasses. Like, why would we even bother with these fucking idiots?
Look at these green morons.
These unintelligent morons who can't do anything right.
But the minute they see that we have space-based weapons, they're going to squash us before that becomes anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want us to eventually become a threat to them. Even if it's nothing, the minute they see space, they're going to be like, oh shit, okay, they did that, so we got to end this.
It's going to be Independence Day when they're blowing up buildings with their lasers. No, they were shooting nuclear bombs on them. They're not doing anything.
If an alien civilization was going to take us over, they wouldn't do it that way.
That's it's going to be biohazard.
That's what I said. They would. I mean, if a civilization can get here, they're just going to launch a virus into the air to kill us all. They're not going to like blow us up like Independence Day. They're not going to make it sloppy. It's not going to be like that. It's just
it's not. It's going to be a bio attack.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if North Korea is shooting nuclear bombs that could reach the United States. The next attack that's going to be mass casualties, that's going to be warfare, is going to be bio. It's going to be because you're going to go into a crowd. Just think about it. Every time you go into a movie theater, every time you go into a mall, every time you go into a sporting event. For example, a dome holds 70,000 people. Just think, right? All you need is one molecule of some kind of biohazard material to be dropped in that certain area, right? That could take out 70,000 people, expose them to it, and then those 70,000 people, just think of New Orleans when we were there, that place was filled. Say everyone got exposed by a biohazard, then we all went our separate ways.
Oh, God.
We went to Massachusetts, people went to California.
Yep, it's over. Yep.
It's going to be like outbreaks. So if countries are really... Here's the thing. No country, I can guarantee this, is going to shoot a nuclear missile or any kind of missile at each other. You know why? Because when one gets shot, the other one's going to get shot, and it's going to be complete mayhem, and no country wants that because, do you know why? Every country depends on another country economically, and what happens? It all revolves around money.
But yes,
because if North Korea shoots the United States, we're going to shoot North Korea, and then China's going to pull out, and then we're not going to have any deal with China, and all of a sudden, you know what? The economy drops.
The interesting thing about North Korea is I think the people are very close to starting to, like I said, every country has that maximum amount of bullshit you can take. And even though North Korea has been held in check by its people, like for like decades, centuries, but here's the thing though, as technology advances, it gets harder to keep things out in terms of the outside world. Right? And now graffiti's starting to show up in North Korea. That guy ran across the border.
Caveman.
It's kind of like how when if you're at a concert, right, and let's say you're on the floor. That's a better place to be, and you got the people in the stands.
Yep.
If someone jumps the barricade and makes it, what happens? Everybody sees that.
That's right.
I'm going too.
I've been at concerts. I was 12 years old in a concert where there was a fence. I was at old Foxborough Stadium, and two people ran the field, and the cops were stopped, and all of a sudden everyone pushed on the fence. And then all of a sudden the fence went down, and then every single person in the stadium rushed the fence.
The minute a person makes it, it's over. Everyone else is going to try that too.
And me and Ronald Doubleback were just hanging out watching, and then all of a sudden the police just said, whatever, forget about it.
Yep.
And then they just let everyone in, so that we followed in there. We weren't the first people, but we were later on in the crowd. But
it's going to happen with North Korea. As technology gets harder to keep out with that news feed.
They're a prehistoric country. I'm sorry.
But eventually their people are going to find out the truth. and eventually it's going to. We don't need to attack them.
I strongly believe in the people of North Korea people look at them like they're evil people. They're not bad people.
No.
These people don't. It's not even that. And I think it's only a percentage of the people in North Korea believe that. I think the majority of the people in North Korea want the freedom, just like the people in Cuba wanted the freedom.
Yeah,
they don't want.
They're afraid.
They're afraid. There's nothing they can do about it. Like that. There's nothing they can do because
it's starting. I'm seeing the beginning seeding of that point that they're reaching, where it's going to.
It's going to get to that. It's going to be a civil war. We're not going to have to get involved because people in North Korea. Well, we'll do when there was a civil war in Afghanistan, in the 70s. Well, we provided weapons to the Afghans so they could fight the Soviets off. Like that's going to be
even though the North and South are still technically at war. They just signed like an armistice deal. Right?
Well, just think about the Civil War in the United States when the North was in the South for fighting. The North was getting supplies from the French in Canada. I mean, it's any war. You may have two focal points, but there's people providing the money and weaponry and stuff like this. So at the end of the day, the North Koreans are going to probably overthrow the power over there, just like the Cubans did, a few years back, and now they're starting to become a civilized country like the rest of the Caribbean. Yeah. The North Koreans will do this so they can become a civilized country like the rest of Asia, and so they can trade and do stuff. And here's the thing: I want to tell you, when North Korea, when these people decide they're going to do it, it's going to be because Americans, the English, the French are going to provide. They're going to sneak in weaponry. It's going to be from the inside out. And you know what?
No, I agree.
It's only a matter of time.
It is a matter of time.
So the people don't have to worry about us taking down North Korea. And I think the government knows this. They're going to take themselves down. And when they do, it's going to be like when Castro fell. It's going to be, you know what I mean? And it happened to Japan in World War II. Japan thought they were going to take over all of Eastern Asia, Asia. And what happened?
Yeah. Dude, World War II is hilarious. Because it's funny. Because remember, we're neutral. We're not going to get involved. We're neutral. And then the minute shit started to hit the fan, it's like Germany was all in it. We're like, you know what? We're going to come in. We're the allies. And we took the glory and beat the shit out of them.
We said we were neutral, but in the reality was they weren't neutral. We were involved way before we got involved officially.
We're neutral. We're neutral. Yeah, no,
exactly. It's just like. That's why we have Air Force bases and military bases all around the world, because you know why? We're on standby, because there might be some kind of conflict going on. There's a conflict going over in the Middle East, right? Always with Palestine and Israel. And they're all trying to claim the Great Land or whatever like that. And they're fighting. They've been fighting. They're going to be fighting for 100 more years, right? But we have a military base over there because one way or another, we're trying to provide information or resources to one side or another without providing resources, without saying, "Hey, listen, I'm sending over a ship full of supplies for for Israel to help fight off." But in the end of the day, all the countries are there's people who think that all the countries are aligned. At the end of the day, the UN is basically it's a world power. We're already in the world power. Every country.
Oh no, that's scary. That's scary. You just said hits the nail right on the head. We're becoming more of a one world government.
Which is, I think, not necessarily a bad thing, to be quite honest with you, because I think that having a universal understanding of peace and trade and stuff of that nature is a good idea. When it comes down to breaking down countries individually, you should be able to make your own laws and should be able to do your own,
in theory,
just like states.
It sounds good, but the problem is people are greedy assholes, and it's going to be manipulated.
Unfortunately, you need a system of checks and balances like the government has. We have 3 branches of the government. They all check and balance each other, so no one has overall power, and they only have a third of it. Now, if you're going to have established this one world government, I believe there should be a checks and balance of committees, people who are elected, international elections of people that can vote for people who represent certain people in certain branches of the universal government. Because you know what's going to happen? Once we find out there's an alien force out there, we're going to need a one world government, because all of us are going to have to get our asses on the same page when E.T. comes down here and decides they're going to bully us around and take us over.
They're already here. The problem is if they have that technology, they're obviously peaceful because they haven't killed each other yet.
Well, but that's one type. Technology, You're thinking there's only one type of foreign species out there.
No, there's more than there's
but there's people. There's evil people. There's evil aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, you think I'm sounding crazy right
now.
No,
I don't think you're I understand people who might not. I don't think you're crazy at all.
If there's bad aliens, there's bad people. There's going to be aliens
going to be good and bad. So yes.
Exactly. So we might. Who knows? Little Noah Breezy may be an alien. Maybe. For all we know, dogs are aliens brought down.
We get aliens anytime. I can talk aliens all.
I mean, it sounds wacky, but dogs aren't, there's certain animals out there that are a lot smarter than you think. Dolphins?
Oh, dolphins could take over humans if they had hands.
I mean, basically, yeah.
I was reading an article.
And other than humans, the only mammal that has sex for pleasure.
Yes, I know.
So there you go, dolphins. Good for you. Just banging around like crazy.
Flipper's getting it home.
You know? But at the end of the day, there's really nothing we can do about this on a stupid podcast where we get maybe 100 people to watch us and maybe another 100 that listen to us. But and the idea is that there's a lot of uneducated people out there who don't think rationally.
But smart.
But they don't even do that. That's the problem. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, the majority. I'm sorry, but half this country, they're not that intelligent.
I know people need to think.
Well, they don't. Well, I shouldn't say. Actually, I shouldn't insult them. I shouldn't say they're not that intelligent. They're not that informed.
No, they're not informed at all. They're brainwashed by what CNN and everybody tells them.
True.
You should look at worldwide news feeds, not what CNN and everything within this country is telling you. Look at what other people are saying.
When I watch my news and there's something that happens, I watch a little CNN. I watch a little Fox.
I watch a little BBC.
BBC.
I watch BBC.
I listen to NPR every day on my way to work and way home. I listen to different perspectives of news because it's interesting how news spins by what political party you are, just like how news spins when you have different networks. Like Matt Lauer, fired today from NBC. Well, NBC, if you follow any of their news, is kind of sugarcoating and making it kind of soft.
You ever notice how the truth gets buried on page 6? There's a saying that the truth it's there, but it's never blown up and escalated more than it should. Like, you never heard of net neutrality, but I guarantee if you Google it, there's tons of fucking articles.
I was fascinated that Channel 7 in Boston, WCV, I think it's whatever Channel 7 is in Boston, used to be an NBC affiliate, right? Mm-hmm. NBC cut their ties with them January of 2016. They were the first news station to announce that Matt Lauer got fired. Now, if that's not a coincidence, I don't know what is. But I mean, a little bit of a grudge there for your affiliate pulling out on you and establishing a brand new channel that never existed before.
I know. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like with government. There's news. There's people. Everything's going to spin things one way or another. And that's fine. Anyone can have their opinions and spin the stuff the way you want. It's for us as humans to be able to take in all this information and to have a rational decision made depending on what we know. And not to listen to one or another, to be a judge, as judges do in court. Yes. They listen to both sides and they make an educated decision on which the decision is. And I think people need to do that because there's a lot of people, I said majority of people don't do that. They listen to, they're
buried in their Twitter feed.
It's crazy.
What the people tell them. They're just like, whatever.
The state of Alabama disgusts me right now because they have a guy who's a kitty toucher on the ballots, right? Alleged kitty toucher, but come on, there seems to be a lot of evidence pointing to this diddler on the ballot for the Republican nominee, but the Republicans down there are supporting him because they don't want a Democrat in a Republican state. So you'd rather have a guy who's been allegedly, when he was in his 30s, going around the mall picking up 14-year-old girls?
I agree with you, but the problem is I really want to believe in the innocent until proven. Unless it's a mass of like what happened to presumption? You have all these. I
agree with you. I agree. I would not throw someone up there. It's just like Matt Lauer should not have got fired today. Right on the spot without it being a suspension and an investigation.
Nowadays, this person starts harassing me, and all of a sudden everybody jumps over and they're fired from their job. That's not right.
No,
I get it.
I agree.
There's multiple fucking Bill Cosby. Oh my God! All right, you could be like after two people, it's like okay. Maybe
when there's a waterfall of people saying
there's a lineup of people, it's like all right, this person. But look at Kesha. Remember Kesha?
Yep.
When she was saying like she was raped by her producer. Usually when things like that happen. Other people come forward because it's usually not the first time it happened.
But no one did.
Nobody did. And the thing is, and then look into it more. Oh, wait a minute. She wanted to get out of her record contract because she was making shit.
I believe everyone should be innocent to proven guilty. I think that if a company, say if NBC wanted to suspend Mr. Lauer, I'm not saying, and he could be as guilty as sin for all I know. I don't know.
He might be.
I don't know any of the evidence. All I know is that one person said he did something, and other people said as well. Yeah. That's all we know. Yeah. Just like the guy in Alabama, a couple people said he did something, but that seems to be a little more evidence stacking against him because it's been a long longer. But the fact of the matter doesn't have to do anything with that. Even if that guy is guilty as sin down in Alabama, right? Yeah. If he's guilty as the day is long, there are still people down in Alabama that will vote for him because they do not want a Democrat in there, which is so stupid.
That's fucked.
That is stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. No, you shouldn't have somebody like that at all.
And I mean, essentially, I think that
No, that's fucked.
There should be no two. There shouldn't be two parties. I think it's the stupidest thing ever because when you have two teams, it brings against the idea. Like for example, you watch a football game on Sunday. It's the Bengals versus say Pittsburgh, right? You have no shoe in any of those games. You're not betting on any of them. You're just a spectator of football. You enjoy the game. You like to watch them, right?
Yeah.
Whether one team wins or another, you don't care as long as and you'll highlight good points like, oh, that was a good play from Pittsburgh. That was a great play from Bengals. At the end of the day, if you have no dog in the fight, you don't really care at the end of the day who wins or loses,
True,
right?
but you're right. You're right in that sense.
Because it's neutral.
I think I do believe in a party system only for this reason. Is because I do believe there are times where, and I'm kind of in the middle. I really am. Like I'm not. I really don't feel like I'm. There are years that if I lived during that time period, I would have voted for a Democrat. And there are years I would have voted for a Republican. Like I think it depends on the era that you're in. Like there are certain times like, yeah, you know what? I think right now we need a Republican. And there are times like, yeah, we need somebody who's a Democrat right now.
But why?
Like. Because they gravitate towards more of those things.
But why should they, though? Why can't there be a guy that takes the good from both?
That would be great.
I mean, ideally, that's what we want.
Awesome.
I want two people to go head-to-head, right?
Okay, if you can have two people go head-to-head, but, like, there's no party system, that's fine.
But ideas. Like municipal election.
That would be great.
When you have mayors
for
cities, there's no Democrat, there's no Republican.
That would be great.
Like, for example, the Boston mayor election has happened. They're two registered Democrats, essentially, right? But they had different ideas. Tito Jackson wanted rent control. Marty Walsh said no. Okay? So they brought so what they do is you bring the issues that are at hand and you agree or disagree on. You don't go
I'm with you, buddy.
Because you know what I mean? And
but
people have to, but that's the problem. People don't listen. People don't understand that.
They're fed bullshit. They don't know
exactly. All these little kids who are in college all vote Democrat. You know why? Because Democrats they don't know that Democrats are more favored towards the billionaires in the world, right?
Yeah, no, they listen. It never used to be that way.
No.
In the 80s, it was the Republicans.
It was the opposite.
That way.
It was a switch.
It is totally a switch.
So that right there alone means that it's bullshit. It doesn't matter.
You're listening to what your professor told you, and you're regurgitating that without looking into it. Like, oh, well, this is this. Why is that? This is what your fucking professor
I want a candidate that has strict gun laws, that has restrictions, but still doesn't take away our freedom. I want lower taxes. I want school systems to be. I want colleges to be under some kind of control so they don't rape us. But what I'm describing is the perfect candidate that is a mix of 3 or 4 different political parties, right?
The problem is, where's the trade-off? Like we could say, I want this, and they all sound great. But you're gonna have to trade off something.
That's fine.
Nothing
you compromise.
100% to be awesome.
But
who wouldn't want that?
No, but that's what compromise is for.
Where is the trade-off? I would love to live in a utopia.
But there's no. The trade-off isn't like black or white. I mean, the trade-off isn't like, red or orange. The trade-off is either black or white. Like, boom,
it's sad. We could live in a utopia. We could live, but it's not going to happen because we're the only society that kills for personal interest. We're the only society that is involved in greed. Mm-hmm. We're the only thing out there humans are the only people that do that.
Well,
right? And no animal does that.
No,
we're the only ones that kill for personal gain. But our genetics are rigged to destroy ourselves.
Well, that's it.
It's fucked.
And trust me, I do not believe in communism at all. I don't believe that the guy who works at McDonald's should make the same amount as the guy who founds a cure for cancer. I don't believe that.
Communism is bullshit too, because there's always somebody at the top.
Exactly.
We're all supposed to be.
So don't get me wrong.
Or
Or socialism, as it's politely said. Basically, socialism is communism. It's just a nicer way of saying it at the end of the day.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't believe in that. I think if you work hard, you own a business, you should be able to... Everyone should have the ability to make as much money as they possibly do. And, of course, honestly, which there's always going to be people who don't do it, but if you honestly go out there and you make yourself $1 million and you work your ass off, great. Now, if you made $1 million because Dad gave it to you, well, there's nothing you can do about that, but that's fine. Whatever. But the people shouldn't be entitled to the money.
Exactly.
So, and I agree. I'm gonna make another point political because it's becoming that back in the day when our forefathers founded this country, if you were an elected official, you did not take a paycheck, and you weren't not supposed to be a career politician.
Yeah.
You were supposed to take a leave of absence from your profession, and then once you're done, like Thomas Jefferson was an architect. He took time off as an architect to be a president of this country, and then what did he do? He went back. You should not be able to be a senator for 50 years, getting paid $250,000 every year.
No, you're right. No, yeah, I agree.
If you want to be an elected official, you should be doing it on your own dime. You should be able to sacrifice what you have in life temporarily to help these people. You should not be getting a paycheck. I don't.
No.
Ronald Reagan,
Kickbacks
Ronald
from,
Reagan never
like
took a paycheck.
kickbacks from like freaking
Yeah.
Saudi, oil companies.
Now, Ronald Reagan may have gotten that, but I know for a fact that he did not take a paycheck during his presidency.
Yeah.
But Ronald Reagan only made millions of dollars as an actor. So
Yeah, exactly.
he made more money as an actor than he did being a president of the United States.
The
Don't
problem
get him
is
wrong.
that
But
these corporate fucks, they don't think like you and me. Here's the thing, like, at what point, like, there needs to, I think, be a cap on how much you make. Because here's the thing, like, what at some point, what is it? It's just another, it's a boat, it's another vacation house, it's another something. Like, what?
I don't agree with a cap, but I do agree with there should be some kind of stronger restrictions of some sort, or some kind of more. Or I think I agree that everyone should be taxed the same. I think if you make $10 an hour, you should be taxed the same as the guy who makes $100 an hour. And if they say everyone pays 5%, right? It doesn't have to be an astronomical number. But what happened is people who make over, say, $250,000 a year, say get taxed 10%, right? But you and I, who make under, say in the mid-50s, say, right, ballpark, we get taxed double that. Why does that make any sense? Why do the people making more money get a tax break? They're not providing anything more into the society.
Idea is they're going to spend more and put more money into
but
the
they
economy.
don't.
I know. But that's the idea.
So if you just go, hey, everyone in the world, you work at McDonald's, right? You say you bring home a paycheck, maybe $300 every week, right? 10% of that gets taken away. Yeah. Say I work at IBM as an engineer and I'm making $3,000 a week. 10% of that taken away. If you do that, we wouldn't be in a deficit. Yeah. We wouldn't be bankrupt. Things like the NBTA, which is a state-run agency, would not be bankrupt. Like the countries would not be bankrupt. We would have no deficit if people just evenly paid. If every billionaire in this world, if every millionaire in this world just wrote a check for $30,000 to the government.
Thing is, they don't think like us. They live in a world where they just want more and more and more and more money. But at some point, what is it to you? It's just another car in the garage, another house in Malibu. Do you need it? No, you just want it. And meanwhile, you're nickel and diming everybody to death. You're imposing more restrictions. You're hurting society.
Well, you're just getting rid of the middle class.
Exactly. I remember when I was in Africa, and I was in Johannesburg. And Johannesburg is our fucking future. You have these fucking mansions and castles living next to these fucking huts. Literally. That's what it looks like. And I'm like, that is America's future right there.
That's what's going to happen. Right? The middle class is non-existent.
Nope.
And the government does not care about it. The government cares about the really rich people and the really poor people. Because you know what? The really poor people, they're not going to go out there and vote because they're getting benefits, they're getting handouts, and the rich people are essentially getting handouts because they're not getting taxed.
Or they're desperate and they truly believe this person is spoon-feeding them bullshit. We're going to help you. They're like, oh my God, this person's different. They're going to help us. And they're not.
I never thought I lived in a society where me and my future wife could make over $100,000 a year and be pretty much lower middle class.
It's fucked.
The notion of that. And now, don't get me wrong. I live in Massachusetts. We live in Massachusetts. It's top 5 most expensive states to live in. Okay, but we both are educated. We both went to 4-year schools. We both went to a master's program, right? So essentially, when you think about that, at the end of the day, pretty much we almost have a master's degree. The two of us. Then we should be able to enjoy the fruits of society without any problems, right? Nice. But we struggle to pay our bills because student loans. I worked 3 jobs when you think about it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I work over almost 80 hours a week, and it makes no sense. It's just because it doesn't make any sense that there's no, and I'm going to say a level, an even playing field, and people are going to say that's communism. It's not communism. I think what it is that the rich people who own these student loan companies, who are gouging children and making them impossible to go to college, and it's not just the student loan companies, it's the universities as well.
Yes.
I mean, we were talking about University of Tennessee, how it's a state school, and how the coach who gets paid $3 million a year is tax money that gets paid from the people who live in Tennessee. Just like the president of UMass, who makes $500 million a year, his money is our money that we pay from our taxes, from our Massachusetts state tax, from gas tax, everything. It's paying for some dude to run a college where they rape us as children who just want a decent education.
I know, yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what? And then we could go on for hours about college and the students getting paid and all this stuff and all this one thing or another. But at the end of the day, is you're making it impossible for Americans to be educated and to be able to get out of college and to build a house, to have a family, to live comfortably.
Yeah.
I can't tell you when I'm going to be able to live comfortably. I have a number in my mind of what I think I need to be at in order to live comfortably, and then another expense comes up, and then the cost of living comes up. I don't know what they comfortably live. Do we have to make $250,000 a year to live comfortably? If I said that to my parents in 1984 that you needed to have $250,000 to live comfortably, they would have shit themselves.
Yeah.
Their house was $84,000 in 1984.
Yeah, I know. That's...
So when you think about that, like, that's a little more than 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That it inflated that much.
I think we need to get off this and talk. I'm getting depressed. We need to talk sports or something for a while. I'm starting to lose my shit.
Go Saints.
Fuck the Saints.
No, I don't want to talk sports. I'm going to get all mad because he's going to be jumping on the fucking Philadelphia Eagles bandwagon again.
I am. Unfortunately, I am. But
because they beat
not just beat. They beat them by more than 20.
Who did they play this week?
They played the Bears last week.
They played the Bears. You're really picking bad examples of teams that blowing out of the water.
I told you it doesn't matter. It's the quality of the win. Obviously, if you're a good team, you're gonna beat bad teams.
So how do you put it?
They're beating bad teams.
But how do you? All right. With
do,
that example,
right?
How do you put this in perspective?
Okay, I'm glad we're on this because we had guys.
How do you put this into perspective? The Pats go 16-0 and blew teams out all season long, but lost the Super Bowl. Right?
That doesn't mean they were a bad team.
But the years they've won the Super Bowl, majority of them, 2001, for example, they went 11-5, and they never blew a team out.
Yeah, and there was that year that they almost went undefeated and lost the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It can
so,
but my point is,
you can't put too much on a team. But you're saying they're such a good team because they're blowing other teams out. You really can't put that in perspective because
but you won't even admit they're a good team. That's the thing.
I think they're a playoff team. No doubt about it. But I don't think they're on this pedestal. I think overall, I think they look better than they are, but I don't think they've played anyone that's really given them a hard time
Nobody does, though. The NFL, all NFL teams...
I don't know, the Pats, every game the Pats have played has given them a hard time.
And that's sad.
It's not sad. It's a sense of that you could be a good team, but you're going to have your weaknesses are going to be exposed.
There's like maybe 5 good teams in the NFL. Of course you're going to play bad teams, but like...
So you don't think...
Most of the teams you're going to play are going to be bad. But the thing is... You should, if you're really that good, you're not just going to win by a touchdown. You're going to fucking blow them out of the water because they're good.
I don't know if I agree with that or not.
That's how I feel. Like it's not just going to be a win. It's going to be a fucking.
You know what? I would agree. I would agree with you if the Patriots had won the Super Bowl and they went 19-0 that year.
But they
blew teams out.
There's no guarantees to win a Super Bowl.
No, but there's no guarantee to win every given Sunday. There's not a guarantee to win a Sunday.
No, I know. I'm not saying that.
I mean, the Pats lost a really good one against the Panthers this year from a field goal with no time left.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've seen some shitty I mean, look at the San Francisco 49ers won a game.
Yeah.
Against, the guy with the pedophile mustache.
Any given week. My point is that the Eagles are a better team than you give them credit for. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I'm not saying
they're going to
No, I think you get me wrong. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm saying that the way you're talking about them is if they're like the 72 Dolphins.
No, I think the Eagles, this might be a lightning in a bottle year, and they have the potential to win a Super Bowl.
I think that having a good year is great. A lot of teams have a good year, and like you said, they catch lightning in a bottle. But, I mean, they could be having a great season. I mean, that's it. But there's a lot of teams that do that, and then they fall off the next year. But
I'm looking at this year.
This year they're having a great season. I mean, but to think they're a great team, time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at players will have a great season, and then the next season they come back, and time will tell. Like Malcolm Butler had a great season last year.
Oh my God!
He held out for money. He made all this big stink, right? And now he's having a subpar season. So I mean, sometimes it happens. So if Philly will make the playoffs, no doubt they'll get a first round bye. They will probably win.
We expect them to lose either this week or the next. They're playing Seattle this week, even though Seattle is banged up.
Are they in Seattle or in Philly?
Then they're playing the Rams after. Philly's playing the Rams after Seattle. So
two really tough teams to play regardless.
I do expect them to lose one out of those two. I don't expect them to lose both.
I think they go 14-2 this year. Were they 10-1?
Yeah.
I see 14-2. I think the Rams are going to beat them, or it could even be a sleeper. It could be a team in their own division. It could be the New York Giants for all we know. They're getting a new quarterback. Geno Smith is. Which I thought he was still in the Jets, to be quite honest with you. I didn't know he was actually in the Giants.
I thought about picking him up.
He just switched locker rooms. That's all he did. He really didn't have to move.
Yeah, right? I thought about picking him up this week in fantasy just because you ever notice those players that usually haven't played in a long time just for 1 week. Usually 1 week when they first play after never playing, they light it up and then they die off again. Just because they feel like they got to prove something.
Sanchez beat the Patriots in the division round twice.
Yeah.
And then went off to the AFC Championship twice. right? So, I mean, anything's possible. Geno Smith could be sitting there with a chip on his shoulder saying, you know.
What I don't understand about that, why Geno Smith? Would you go with a young kid because he's like, might be the future? Why
You
would
could.
Geno? You know what you have in Geno.
You know you have in Geno, but you know you have a losing record. You know you have a losing season.
So
now
go with the young kid to see what he has.
But at the same time, you don't want to win games at this point.
No, if you're the coach, you do because you want to save your job.
You do, but at this point, he may already got the okay from up above saying, "Hey, listen, we're trying for a draft pick this year. This year's draft. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out.
Yeah,
there's a lot of potential to replace Eli, and I think this is it for Eli. I think he gets cut in the postseason. He gets cut off season rather, and you may find himself. I'm going to put it right now. You may find Eli Manning on the New York Jets next year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
No, and the reason would be well.
I was going to say or Cleveland.
It won't be Cleveland. It will be because he'll get to pick where he wants to go because he's going to be cut. He's going to be a free agent essentially, right?
Yeah.
And he knows he only has a handful of years left. Does he really want to move cities to go play for a team? Is there any team that's going to give him a chance out there that's going to be, like Denver gave Peyton a chance because he still had a little gas in his engine, right? And he ended up getting him. He went to 2 Super Bowls with him, right? Eli, it seems like this is flight 800. And it's going down fast in the Atlantic, and there's really no recovering this thing. So now you have to think in perspective. Okay, now what team will give him a chance? The New York Jets will pretty much give
Jets, the Browns,
any washed-up quarterback a chance. But he wouldn't want to go play for the Browns.
But I'm saying teams that would actually want
exactly.
Inquire. And I think Denver would inquire, and they'd be willing to cut Oswald and add him as a backup.
I think so.
That's what they would probably want.
He would have to be willing to go to Denver, and I don't think him and Peyton like each other very much, and I don't think he would go to a team that his brother played on out of spite because. And meanwhile, Cooper's sitting there drooling in his cereal saying, I could have been a quarterback someday. You know what I mean? Like, he's one bad arm, and he's sitting there, and he can't figure out how to get his pants on the right way.
You know what team I think is a total... you know what team I think is...
She defends Cooper Manning so much, like it's a relative of her.
Yeah, whatever happened?
Every time we make a joke about Cooper... You ever see that episode of Family Guy? Where the Peyton family's sitting around for Thanksgiving, and Cooper's like, yeah, Dad, I closed on 3 deals this week. And then Eli's like... And then Peyton's like... Yeah, but I won a Super Bowl. And Eli's like, but I won too against Tom Brady. And they're like...
Cooper played for Ole Miss, and he got injured.
I know. You're the only one in the world that defends Cooper Manning.
But you're still mean about it.
Because it's funny.
Because the Mannings...
Because what do you think it's funny if you had...
Say, they had 3 out of 4 that ended up being at least decent to awesome.
But wouldn't it be funny, like, say, like, you and your 2 sisters were all 3 of you are rocket scientists. Well, 2 of the 3 of you are rocket scientists, and one of you is...
space cadet, like...
Yeah, like, was, like, in the circus. Yeah. Wouldn't you think that's funny? Like, wouldn't you, like... I mean, think about it. Like, one person in your family doesn't really match with the beat, regardless if it was because of an injury or not. So, you have 2 professional football players who have 4 Super Bowl wins combined, right?
I'm sure he's fine in real life.
I'm sure Cooper's doing all right. Him and Arty
can...
Him and Arty can...
Yeah, so he's fine.
Him and Arty can talk about the 0 Super Bowls they both won. Yeah. So, I mean, they can relate on something. Father and son can be like,
he's making more money we'll ever make combined.
He's like, and I mean no offense to this at all, but you talk about him like he's like Steve Gleason.
Well, but when you compare him to...
I think she's in cahoots with Cooper, man.
I know. She defends Cooper all the time.
I think she's been tweeting him and texting him.
You're a Cooper fan. You're a closer Cooper fan.
I'm a Manning's fan.
I'm going to tell you, on paper, allegedly, Cooper was supposed to be better than Peyton and Eli.
I've heard.
Allegedly.
I will say, what team has a total disconnect between management and coach is the 49ers. Because if you're going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and sacrifice a second round...
Well, he's starting this year.
I know he is now. But the point is, if you're going to do that... he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Don't you want to make sure what you have before, you let him become a free agent? You know what I mean? You want to make
Unless they know deep down inside that maybe they know something that they're not going to keep this guy because he's going to want $25 million. I mean,
but you want to be sure he might be that good because you might want to keep him. You picked him in the first place.
You did.
The second-round pick.
I mean...
It doesn't make any sense. So
for the Patriots, it might end up being a 32nd pick and And 33rd pick. They might get 2 picks in a row. I mean, say 49ers bomb. I mean, I
think,
can't. Browns are probably going to get the worst,
I
but.
think the management team and the 49ers really wanted it, and the coach was like, I'm doing my thing. There is definitely a disconnect.
And you'll see that next season when the coach gets fired.
Probably.
I mean, it is Shanahan's son, and Shanahan was a dick anyways when he was the coach for all those years.
Yeah.
So it's only inevitable that his son's probably a dick too.
He coached the Broncos.
Because he coached the Broncos, he was in
Belichick.
Washington.
He was really good against Belichick.
Here's the thing. Usually when you meet a kid, right, and a kid's a dick, the kid didn't learn to be a dick from nowhere. He learned to be a dick from his parents.
True. Look at the Bowl family.
The older the more years I live on this planet, a child directly affects the way they were brought up. 99% of the time.
There are those weird exceptions where it seems like it's a good family, and how the hell did this seed get that way?
But it seems like a good family, but when you dig deep...
Is it that cold in here? I'm looking at you, and I can see breath coming out of you when you're talking.
Really? The window's open behind you. I think it's like 72 degrees in here. Are you imagining it?
I just saw your breath. That was weird. I've seen it a couple of times.
Really?
I was losing my mind.
Maybe it's dust. Maybe it's dust from the light.
Oh my god, your breath. Yeah, I see your breath.
It's not... It wouldn't be my breath. It's
It's hot.
It's 72 degrees in here. I have windows open.
I'm gonna video because I swear
It's probably dust. I mean, it's probably hair and dust.
You're blowing it
This
out.
place is a friggin',
With dog hair.
yeah, it's a petri dish for dog hair and all the accoutrement. So,
I see your breath coming out. I'm not joking.
then maybe there's a dead person in this apartment that you've seen.
Maybe there's ghosts around.
There is ghosts in here.
Could be. You ever hear the legend of Bobby Rowe, who used to live here
No.
in the quarry?
I didn't tell them. I met the new owners of my mom's new house. My mom's house she just sold. My childhood home. And I was like, I didn't want to say anything because it's probably not a good idea before the sale's final, but I want to be like, you know what, the ghosts in here?
Yeah, you should never say that. That's probably a bad thing to say. Otherwise, your mom's going to be not having a house for sale.
It's weird to see your childhood home get sold.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
The room you lost your virginity?
I did not lose my virginity in my house.
No? Where'd you lose it?
I lost it at an apartment place off of Main Street.
An apartment place with like a hooker?
No, not a hooker.
Were you living there?
No.
So it was a girl's
I
house?
lived in a house my way. I grew up in a home.
No, like, was it like, were you like, it was your first apartment?
No, it was my first apartment. What the hell are you talking about? No, it was it was a girl. She lived with her family in an apartment.
Nice.
In an
And
apartment.
you gave her the nasty.
Did.
And then you drive by that house every once in a while and look at it and be
I
like...
didn't drive. I was too.
No, but you drive by nowadays and like, that's where I got my pickle White for the first time?
Occasionally I look over and be like, that's what happened.
I got my pickle White for the first time in the front seat of my Jeep Wrangler.
Nice.
That
Why are
is-
you looking at him like you're grilling him? Let the man talk.
I'm not grilling him.
I mean,
I'm
Tommy
making
remembers the
toast.
first time he got his pickle White.
And
It was
never
2
happened again.
days after he got Nola.
Oh,
But Tommy does not have sex. He doesn't know what the vagina is.
tries.
He's a little something happened to him during the part of his brain development that he's supposed to naturally know how to have sex.
It's when he electrocuted himself.
I think so. He did electrocute himself when he was a pup, and he thinks the vagina is somewhere around the neck. He doesn't know how to mount, and he doesn't just do it with Nola. He does it with every dog he sees that he tries to hump. It's not so much nowadays that it got fixed, but he'll be at the park and there'll be a girl dog walk by, and sometimes a boy dog, and he'll mount their neck, and the dog will just look at him like, "What the fuck you doing?" Yeah, something. Tommy fell asleep in that lesson in class. He didn't really get that one. Well, he's a little unwired. He was not meant to reproduce, I guess you could say.
Apparently. Well, it's probably a good thing that he can't.
But yeah. I mean, he gets beat up by his older little sister.
Yeah, it's a common thing.
Totally takes advantage of him. Tommy, nope. Well, all right. Well, that's a good hour.
Really? It was an hour?
We
Shit.
I think we discussed a lot. We
A little pause. We didn't go to football picks. We didn't talk. Damn.
Pat's playing Bills this week. Should be a good game.
Pats should win.
Pats win. I think they clinch a playoff
Although the Bills are
spot.
pretty hungry. The Bills are pretty hungry right now, but the Pats should win.
Oh, screw the Bills. Fucking hate them.
Yeah, I mean they roughed me up. I got roughed up good. They're playing in New England tomorrow or next week, right? Are they in Buffalo? No, they're in Buffalo, right?
They're in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, that's right, 'cause they're playing Christmas Eve. So they're in Buffalo, so if you're a Pats fan and you go into the game, just be prepared. I was a Saints fan for the day going up there, and I got roughed up in the bathroom. And when I mean roughed up, I use that word loosely. I'm not really afraid of Bills fans, and they're Bills Mafia. And you know what?
Crazy lady.
I'm thinking about going to the Hop on Sunday, which is the Bills bar in Boston. And yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to get all you Patriots fans out there who are going into Boston on Sunday to watch the Bills game, and the Patriots game, I should say. And I want all of you to go to the Hop, which is the Bills bar of Boston. And I want an invasion of Patriots fans there to all these little goofy-ass Bills fans who think Boston's such a terrible place, but you moved here, so go fuck yourself. And anyone who talks about how bad a city is that doesn't live there, who moved there, are retarded. Or stupid. It makes no sense. I didn't like DC, so what did I do? I moved. No, I'm on Facebook the other day, and all these comedians who moved from other cities are talking about how bad Boston is. And they're all giving reasons why bad Boston is. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, why'd you move here? Well, why don't you move away?
I mean, I could think of a few reasons, but most of them,
you're going to find bad reasons for any city in the world.
Exactly. Like,
so
it's
you deal with them.
Expensive. That's about it.
Yeah, well, you deal with them, and if they're too much...
It is a clean city.
And if they're too much to deal with, then you move.
Yeah.
We didn't I shouldn't say D.C., because we really didn't live in D.C. We lived in the...
we were a mile down the road.
But we were close enough to the bad section of D.C. We weren't in the privileged section of D.C., which is different. The privileged section is closer to Virginia. Yeah. We were in the gangster, when you see the news and someone dies, that part of D.C. Yeah. Which I almost got carjacked a couple times driving home from work at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving to the part of D.C., so...
Well, and there was a 48 Hours episode of the apartment building right across the
street, yeah. I couldn't tell you the...
girl that murdered his boy she hooked up with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't tell you the amount of times driving home from work in D.C. at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, that I had people running up the side of my van, banging the side of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Try to get in.
Yeah. That's becoming more of a common
And the amount of red lights that I blew on a weekly basis. And I blew a red light, and you know what I would say when a cop pulled me over? I would say, thank you for pulling me over, because now I feel safe.
Well, see, South Africa, in Johannesburg, in South Africa, that's, like I said, it's America's future. You don't even stop at red lights. No, you slowly glide through, because if you stop at a red light, you're going to get mugged.
Oh, yeah.
They'll just pull you out of your car, and they'll smash your window and pull you out. So you just glide.
But can't they do that if you slow down, too?
I mean, yeah, but
it's harder. I mean, they're not going to... They'll push a person in front of the car, so you have to stop.
So you have to stop.
And then that's when they come.
I'm not a law enforcement agent
so
of any source of the imagination, but I'm telling anyone out there, if you're driving to a bad neighborhood and you hit a red light, you probably want to blow it.
Just go.
And if you hit a stop sign, you probably want to do a rolling stop.
If you do get pulled over going through the red light, it's fine if a fucking cop pulls you over.
Trust me.
You're safe.
If a cop's pulling you over, chances are, unless he's a crooked cop...
Yeah, I had to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sure if you explain the story to you, and if you're in a neighborhood that you quite don't match the people that may live there, and you seem like a little bit of an outsider, you probably will get a leeway.
My dad told me a story once when he was younger. Him and his buddies were driving through part of Roxbury. Now, even younger, I mean, obviously when younger, things were worse in some areas.
Oh, now yeah,
right?
back then, absolutely. Yeah. Nowadays, it's like you're privileged to live in Roxbury.
And he was lost, and he got pulled over by a cop, and the cop went, and the first thing the cop said to him was, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
he helped escort him out.
Exactly. So it happens. So my public service announcement to everyone driving to a bad neighborhood that you're not quite comfortable with, or not really know where you're going.
Pulled over might not be bad.
Yeah, you probably want to try to get pulled over.
Yeah.
Speed, go fast, don't do anything rational. Like all I can picture is like the Golden Girls in a station wagon in downtown Detroit, stuck at a red light. Like talking about being a target. You know what I mean?
It's my favorite show. I haven't watched that in a long time.
I will give credit. It was not a bad show. I hate the Golden Girls.
I don't mind the Golden Girls.
I would go out of my way to watch it, but it was a good show.
I think her obsession with the Golden Girls is a little odd for someone who's
I have an
in her early 40s.
Actually, my mid 40s. I'm fucking a year older than you.
Her.
Oh, yeah, I know. Who knew that?
My early 40s.
You're 41, are you?
No.
Oh. Put that on a t-shirt.
I put you on a t-shirt.
I do. I have one with my face on it, remember?
I know you do, yes.
So I can take one and wear it?
Wear it on the show next week.
I have a t-shirt for you guys next week that you're going to love. It is about 3 sizes too small. It has a picture of a very attractive young man on it. And Susan broke up with me after I wore it one weekend, so...
Is it a pedophile thing?
No.
No.
No. It's Speaking of, I hope I don't. I have a jury duty tomorrow. I hope it's not a terrible case.
You'll be fine.
I've been picked 3 times.
I love jury duty.
I've been the jury duty 3 times since I've been 18. So that's what, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been picked on 3 different trials.
You were on the jury?
On the jury.
That's awesome.
Jury number 7, jury number 13, jury number 48.
Yeah. I love
jury
it
duty the day after New Year's.
You better hurry up and get that changed.
I'm not changing it.
You're just going to do it?
Yeah, get it over with.
What courthouse?
Yes. Same as me. Suffolk County.
Why is it Woburn right down the street?
The great thing about living in Revere is you're in Suffolk County, and there's never a dull day in the law enforcement in Suffolk County. When you have the biggest city in New England, there's a lot of crime that gets involved.
I can walk to mine. It's awesome.
Do you know that guy who robbed that thing in Revere and Everett yesterday, and then drove away in a white van and drove it into a swimming pool? Do you know everyone in my office thought that was me? They seen a white van that looked exactly like mine in a swimming pool, and the first thought was, did Arty drive into a swimming pool? My first thought was, where the hell's that house in Revere? It was a huge house with a swimming pool on a dead end.
Was it the Angiulo family?
I don't know. Who knows?
It's probably the Angiulos.
But they wouldn't say. I don't know what you're talking about, Adam. We don't talk about stuff like that in this show.
Don't act like you know who they are.
I have no idea what you speak of. But I want to know where that house was, and they never said what street it was either.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's somewhere in the Parkway, and I'm assuming it's in some kind of neighborhood where they don't want riffraffing, like myself. So.
Well, they said he came from Everett, because didn't he rob a store in Everett?
Yeah, so he had to go around So I assume this is what he did. He went down Revere Beach Parkway, and then he cut into a Revere neighborhood off of Broadway, and I think it's one of those neighborhoods over there.
What's going on?
And then he ran for it, and they found him in Chelsea. So.
Oh.
Hey, listen, the guy made an attempt. How did he get caught? I want to know.
It's pretty funny. It's like a Florida thing.
It is. It's like Florida crime news in Revere. I guess Florida and Revere aren't too far apart from each other. I mean, there's really not much of a difference, would you say?
No. Florida's way worse. I mean, Revere obviously has its things, but you can't even put them on the same level.
Yeah, it's true.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I guess
I want to say they are, but they're not.
I would say older people that get in trouble in Florida are probably very similar to Revere because they're pretty much people from Revere that retired to Florida.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the young people you really can't hold a candle to. I mean, those are Susan's people in the South. They just do wacky things. I think it's being warm too many times, too many months a year. Screw it.
No, that's what's great about the cold weather because when it's warm, people are out and can get in more trouble. When it's cold, people stay in and they're not going to go out and cause trouble.
It's true.
That's why most of the bad shit happens in warmer.
Then why is there so much domestic? Well, I guess that's probably why there's so much domestic violence in Alaska.
That's probably true.
That actually makes complete
they can't
sense.
Go out.
They stay home and beat their wife instead of just driving down the road and beating some random guy at a bar, I guess. So I guess that makes complete sense. There's more drunks and domestic violence in the state of Alaska because no one leaves the house, I guess. So domestically, you stay there.
Look at that.
And in Florida, there's more, gangbangers on the streets of Tampa. They caught that. I guess he was a serial killer, technically.
Yeah.
He killed 4 people in 6 weeks in Tampa.
He just qualifies, yep.
Who just were random people that he decided. He worked at a Burger King. And he would get out of work and just go shoot people.
And 4 of them were like in the same week, or like.
Yeah, it was like. Yeah, and it was all in the same neighborhood. Like, none of the people knew each other. Bizarre.
And he got caught? How?
Because he got caught by. I think he was bragging about someone at work.
Oh, there it is. All right, yeah.
Something like that.
It was, but they had also released like surveillance footage.
Pictures, yeah.
Showing him.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, if you're gonna kill people, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, and don't kill people you know.
Yeah, don't kill people you know. Or people that know the people that you know.
Yeah, you guys are safe. If I ever ever go to bonkers and kill people, you guys are safe. I know you. I know I can call.
Unless you're going on an evil spree where you're killing everyone you know.
If I'd been a serial killer, knowing a serial
well, you won't be
is great.
You can still kill us and not be a serial killer. You could just be a psychopath.
That's true. But I don't want to get caught.
I
never want to get caught.
It's like the kid. It's like the like all I can think about is Columbine when that happened, where they were literally going to the library shooting kids at point blank.
That's fine.
But then they would come to kids they knew, and have conversations with them and pass them off. That is the most that is the most frightening of it. Like literally, there was a story, and I know this is going really crazy, but as they're going through the school, they're picking off kids in the library, and then this one kid, whatever the kid's name was, goes, "Hey man," and he goes, "Hey," and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Just killing people." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I'll see you later," and he just moved on to and then 2 desks over blew a person away. Like that's some psychotic shit right there. Like
that's a level I can't identify with.
Like
that's weird, man.
You've
been to that school.
You've been to that school?
Uh-huh.
Like in it?
Wow. I walked like...
To the museum?
Walk, like, right
There's
inside.
not a museum. There's a memorial.
They have a memorial, and then we were able to walk like right inside the doors.
Daily Woo was there.
But I would.
It's my daily channel, second blog channel. It's the Daily Woo.
But in a ways though, I'd actually like to kind of talk to these people just to try to understand where the hell they're coming from because they're so crazy.
It's fascinating.
Like I think Hitler would be in my top 3 of people that I wish I could meet. Only because I don't agree with him. I do not. The guy was fucking nuts. But just to try to
his mentality,
understand, like, how did you think? How could you think like?
Well, I mean, modern times, the North Korean guy is quite similar to that.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
like, where are you coming from? Like, how are you thinking like this? I just want to know your point of view.
He's rich privileged. North Korean guy, rich privileged. You know?
I honestly would like to talk to him because he does. He seems like he's just sitting there, like, playing with his toys.
But he's fascinated with the Western world.
He is. His father was. His father loved our movies.
And he's fascinated with whatchamacallit, like with the NBA, with like American, like Western world. He's fascinated, and you know what? And he could. Just imagine if he wasn't a psychopath, right? He could just literally, with his money, just be like, "Hey, I'm going to California for the weekend." Yeah, I run a country, but you know what? I'm going to California for the weekend.
Question though: do you think our government talked to Dennis Rodman before he went on his second trip and was like, "Hey, listen," and like might have tried to talk to him and try to get intel in some ways? They must have. Nobody can get into that country.
I would love to somehow pick Dennis Rodman's mind.
I'm willing to bet our government at least talked to him.
I would love to see what Dennis Rodman knows.
Do you think they might have been, at least their government might have talked to him?
Oh, they talked to him.
They must have.
I wouldn't be surprised if they tranquilized Rodman. They put him into when he got back. If he was
like, what did you hear?
If it was like that scene in Zoolander when he missed 2 weeks when he was in the massage.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden she comes over and she's like, "You have 15,000 messages. You were great for 2 weeks."
Prime Minister of whatever country.
I wouldn't be surprised if when Rodman came back, he got a visit, and he woke up a little groggy a couple weeks later. So I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened before he went and they implanted.
Like the movie, The Interview. Remember the movie, The Interview?
Oh, the one that they wouldn't show in. Oh god.
Where they gave him the license to like go and shake his hand, and then the military guy lasted like 5 days while dying.
Dude, remember our government was a bunch of pussies, and they wouldn't let that be in theaters. The movie theaters pulled it because he was threatening to bomb us if they put it in the theater. Remember that? And then it ended up on Netflix. You remember that shit? That was fucking
well, in that case, aliens must be threatening to bomb us because we put Independence Day in the movie theaters. And you know what? And you know what? And that's offensive. That's offensive to E.T., the friendly alien, who's just doopity boppity boop walking around the woods like Yoda. And then you know what? He's like, listen, I'm an alien, and I'm offended that you think we kill people all the time.
By the way, do you know Snow White's offensive now because the prince kissed her without consent?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a little Weinsteinish. The prince should be fired.
I heard about that today.
Yeah, that's no true.
I can't deal.
The prince should be
fired.
fired.
All Disney movies are perverted.
True.
Right?
Like Little Mermaid, the priest gets an erection at the end.
Hilarious.
And the castles look like penises.
Yes, yeah. Sex in the Clouds.
Sex in the Clouds. And then Lion King, all good kids take off their clothes. And they go, take off your clothes. Well, it's the rumor that Playboy funded majority of Disney.
No, Walt Disney had some weird...
Yeah, Walt Disney was a little freak.
Yeah, he had some...
Dude, he was communist. He was a communist. Yeah, he was...
He did.
Walt Disney was a little bit of a...
I cannot confirm or deny, but he possibly had.
But I bet he would be an interesting guy.
I don't believe everything I read on the internet, but I've heard he does.
Yeah, no, I mean, he lived in that era. McCarthyism. He was in the... Remember McCarthyism of communism when McCarthy was pretty much calling out everyone who was in government that was communist.
We get into this another time, but I'm convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that Hitler escaped. I'm completely convinced Hitler escaped and made it to South America. I'm completely convinced. There's no one convinced me otherwise.
And actually, I think he escaped, made it to South America, and he was actually an actor in Seinfeld. He was the soup Nazi. It was actually Hitler. So believe it or not, it was actually using the real Hitler to be the soup Nazi.
His age. And,
he just aged really, really well. Yeah, he knew a few things. Interesting, fascinating. What's really real? What's an Artyism? Or I lived in D.C. and Orlando. Never been happier to be in Detroit. There's a guy who's watching the show right now who I used to work with who says he'd rather be in Detroit. So. And my aunt said there should be some kind of restriction on laser swords because that's the next thing that's going to be killing people.
Lightsabers?
Yes.
Oh shit, that'd be awesome.
Everyone's going to have to license to carry a lightsaber, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen because you don't need a license to carry one now. You will.
Well,
once they invent them.
They say they can't because you can't stop the beam from going.
Yeah, when you can't stop the power.
Like the beam.
Can't stop the moonlight, according to a Coyote Ugly.
There.
Can't stop the moonlight. What's the song?
Yeah. Did you sing it?
I attempted to, I think.
Who sang it?
It was originally performed by Leanne Rimes, but it was actually pretended to be written by the chick whose dad was John Goodman. And she has kind of the weird face.
Well, let's let her sing it.
She's kind of ducky. She has the big duck lips. You ever notice that? Well, I don't know her name.
What are we talking about? Leanne Rimes?
No, the chick who was in the Star of Coyote Ugly. What was her name?
Okay. I remember the movie.
I mean, she's not a bad looking girl, but she had the duck lips.
On tables and,
very pronounced jaw.
The blonde?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not Tom Brady's baby mama.
No, I know you're talking about. I don't know her name though.
Tom Brady's baby mama, you know that's in that movie?
Little
Tom.
What's up, buddy?
Do you know Tom Brady Jr. is sitting there saying, my mom was in Coyote Ugly?
Huh?
You think Tom Brady Jr. is more proud of his mom being in Coyote Ugly or in Blue Bloods? Or his dad being Tom Brady? And how much stress is it to be Tom Brady III?
Probably not, because he's probably very well spoiled.
Yeah, but like,
Well, ask this guy.
do you feel like he's gonna have to live in his footsteps?
Nah.
Tommy loves me.
Like Magic Johnson Jr. didn't.
Always.
Magic Johnson Jr. he's a fashion designer.
I think a lot of parents that are like athletes or movie stars or whatever, I don't think they push it on their kids to.
Yeah? Talk about your boy Archie.
Oh, they definitely do.
He made 3 of his kids, and one of them died pretty much because he wanted to be a quarterback so bad and lost his arm in an industrial accident.
But I think nowadays,
Yeah.
think about Archie was raising those kids and.
I don't know, Tim Hardaway Jr. looks better than his dad did. This is probably a smaller percentage these days than it was back in the day. And Tom Hanks' son's not a bad actor.
No, but his other son's like a rapper.
Yeah, that's a problem right there.
See, there's always the C. There's always that bad one.
Like Alan Thicke, good actor, good singer. Robin Thicke? All right.
I don't know who that is.
You know who Robin Thicke is? He wins that. Everybody get down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he had that like supermodel for like a wife, and then he like was banging these like hood rat girls, and then she divorced him, and he wrote a whole album apologizing that he was banging these hood rat girls.
Oh yes. I know what you're talking about.
And if you are in the Boston area on New Year's Eve, he is performing live at Foxwoods.
God, how much does it cost me?
I don't know, but New Year's Eve you could spin with Robin Thicke.
Oh,
Is that where Mohegan is?
Well, Foxwoods, they're separate casinos, but they're next door to each
with
other.
Miley Cyrus.
So he's actually at Mohegan.
Oh, he's in Mohegan? Oh, I'm sorry.
I
He's
see
in-
the billboard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I knew it was one or the other. He's in Mohegan.
Ah.
At least he's not playing the Inland Auditorium like a lot of celebrities have in the past.
I've noticed people playing at the Cabot in Beverly
Oh.
quite a bit lately.
Is that the old Beverly Theater? Or is it they changed the name?
Cabot. I don't know. It's
I seen the circus there when I was a kid.
I'm trying to keep this from.
We'll leave it at that. Alright, well that's a wrap. We're in a little overtime today, but I'm sure your listeners don't mind. I looked at our stats. We're at our number 1 state is California, Michigan, and Massachusetts.
Ah, wow. California #1?
California's number 1.
California,
We
hey!
have more listeners in California than anywhere else.
I have quite a few friends in California, so.
There you go. All liberal states. And I just bashed the liberals for an hour and a half, so I guess I bashed everyone for an hour and a half.
Michigan's
So
toxic, and the other 2 have legalized marijuana, so.
there you go. So I hope you all enjoyed it today. Tommy's saying goodbye, and everything you're plugging real quick? Except
Obviously,
your butthole?
it's been a while because I've been so busy at my other job, but obviously, Whirlwind Reports.
Calendar season.
No, it's not, but
But how come I'm seeing all these calendar stores popping up in the mall?
Whirlwind Reports, because you have to take care of that months prior to them coming out.
I don't know. I thought they just instantly happen.
No, it's.
I buy my calendars in February because they're half off.
And obviously, whirlwindreports.com. I got to get some stuff up there in the next coming week or so because I have not had time.
There you go.
But yeah, and obviously packy.com and
Well, there you go. DJ I-84 everywhere in the interwebs. And enjoy the Packy.com and my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. while supplies last, because according to Adam, we're shutting down the internet on December 14th.
No, it's going to take a couple of years for that to happen because they can't do it immediately. They can't.
You telling me there's no switch they can just pull and?
No, they can't do that because then people will really revolt. No, it's going to be gradual.
What do you think Tommy's going to do?
I don't know.
Here goes. All right, we'll leave it at that. Rough. Y'all come back now. You hear? See ya.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
What's up, Tommy?
Bye, Facebook.
Tommy, you like all over me, man. What's up, buddy? Hey, pal.